Kilmarnock 1, Dundee 0 is a final. Rangers 2, and a reminder that it was Tom Brown who scored the goal that took Kilmarnock into their first Scottish Cup semi in 22 years. Dundee's Jerry Britton had seen his penalty earlier on saved by the keeper. Match which could, well, I suppose, bring back great memories of the heyday of Rugby Park. He's been down there in Ayrshire watching Kilmarnock against Dundee as Kilmarnock looked for their first semi-final in the Cup for some 22 years. Chick Rung reporting.
A tremendous tie at Rugby Park, one goal enough to launch Kilmarnock into the semi-finals. It came 3 minutes before half-time, the bravest of headers from Tom Brown. At the end of a chip forward, when he clearly knew that if he made contact with the ball, he would have to take the full force of the onrushing Paul Mathers. That he did, but recovered to enjoy the celebrations of a big crowd in Kilmarnock, 10,446 to be exact. For Dundee, there was only the dream of what might have been, because Jerry Britton missed the first half penalty after Montgomery brought down McCann, although Geddes, for so long a Dundee player, produced a great save. An enthralling cup tie, and Dundee, to their credit, chased it to the death, but it's Kilmarnock who have the scent of Hampden. The celebrations in full flow. Kilmarnock 1, Dundee 0.
The Tennant Scottish Cup quarter-finals, Airdrieonians 0, Dundee United 0. Kilmarnock 1, Dundee 0. Rangers.
We'll now have the draw for the semi-final ties of the Tennant Scottish Cup. Mark. First team, please. Thank you. Kilmarnock. We'll play Rangers.
Walter, the treble is still on. What about that draw against Kilmarnock for the semi-final, first of all?
Well, this is the third semi-final in a row for us, and they've all been tough matches, and Kilmarnock have beaten us at Ibrox this season, and we've got the better of them in the next two league games. But they've all been very tight, and it's not been until the latter stages of each game that we've got themselves in front in the last couple.
Derek Johnston and Kilmarnock manager Tommy Burns are with me this afternoon to offer their thoughts on today's matches and on the FA Cup semi-final draw, which takes place around 5 to 5. Quite sure had impressed upon his players that 1-0 wins on the last two occasions Dundee were the visitors were no guarantee that Kilmarnock were about to reach their first semi-final for what would be 22 years. And it's Chick Young rather who reports on this one.
10,500 inside Rugby Park, the lion's share of them there to see if Kilmarnock could sweep their way to the Cup semi-finals for the first time in 2 decades. The early indications hinted at a favourable wind and tide. McSkimming's effort was an alarm call for Dundee, and they responded with an air raid in Killie's area, but it was all to come down to earth with George Shaw shooting past the post. But then the Dens Park club created a clean-cut opportunity to take the lead. Neil McCann picked the ball up down the left side and was sent crashing by Ray Montgomery. Referee Alistair Hewitt in no doubt about awarding a penalty kick. And the action replay shows that Montgomery was guilty. Jerry Britton was handed the responsibility of putting Dundee ahead, but the kick was driven right down the centre and Bobby Geddes responded perfectly. Britton scored from the spot against St Mirren in the last round. Geddes later admitted he watched that on the Road to Hampden programme and guessed where the Dundee man would put any penalty. Killie responded immediately, and how about this for the charge of the White Brigade? It was all to end with McSkimming getting the ball in the net, but the offside flag killed the Kilmarnock joy. But by now Killie were producing some sweet one-touch football, which Dundee were finding hard to handle. George McCluskey, the orchestrator-in-chief of this move, but when it falls for Gus MacPherson on the right side, he underlines again the power in that right foot. Fully 30 yards first time and just past the post. The goal was on its way. Player-manager Tommy Burns created it with a chip free kick. Tom Brown astonishingly brave with the header. He took a bad head knock that was to carry on after treatment, and the replay shows just how brave he was. Brown will appreciate seeing this again because he wouldn't have known too much about the goal in the seconds after it. Into the second half, and Dundee were battling hard for the equaliser. On the left side, young Mlln McCann was proving again what a real prospect he is. Good skills as he creates the opening, or tries to, but Kilmarnock are rapidly perfecting the break. This move all down the left side, and when the ball does eventually arrive in the box, it's defender Andy Mlln on the end of it. But as forwards will tell you, they would have finished it better than that. It was an enthralling tie, and Dundee, to their credit, battled to the death. Britain here trying to make amends for the earlier indiscretion. But Kilmarnock were the match of their every move, and it was in midfield that the real battle was won for the Ayrshire team. Player boss Tommy Burns plays his part here in winning the ball. And they were also helped by some slack defending from Dundee. Oh yes, and there was some ex-certificate finishing. In the end though, Killie were through, the Rugby Park fans deliriously happy, and as the on-the-field celebrations began, inside the players' lounge, assistant boss Billy Stark was watching the draw live on Afternoon Sports Scene. Yeah. We are in the semi-final. Who do you fancy?
I'll be Rangers. You'll be Rangers.
We'll play Rangers.
Just what I said to you.
The forecast, what do you think, boy?
Well, the wee feeling that we might be going to hand in this season, and we've done that. First of all, just delighted to be here and involved in a semi-final chick, and we'll not be going there with any fears at all.
Everyone was criticising at the start of the season, too many old players. We've got a lot of young players as well, and we've seemed to blend well together, and we just keep going on and on for as long as it.
Is there a feeling in the dressing room you could actually win the cup this year?
I think, well, I mean, the cup's anybody's. I think everyone's spot was here 2 seasons ago where they got to the final, and everyone's writing them off at that time. So the cup can throw up anything.
Keep your fingers crossed.
That's right, that's it.
And the boss is with us. Well done again, Tommy. Enjoy it.
It was nice to look back on it again, Dougie.
Apart from that shot.
Yeah, we'll not talk about the shot. What pleased you most about the performance yesterday, though?
I think the determination. Our goalkeeper got us off the hook with the penalty save, and done very, very well throughout the game. And I think the confidence he instilled in the team with that save just went right through us. And after we got the goal, I didn't feel as if we were going to lose it.
Is a counter-attacking style, which obviously works for you, something that you have actually been putting some time in the training ground?
Well, I think that's the way we play, Dougie. We try to make it difficult for other teams to play against us. And they get back and we try to shut down other teams. And if we get the ball through intercepting it or whatever, then we go and we try and attack quickly.
Let's not spare Tommy's blushes here, Derek, but I mean, we've said several times in the programme this season that Kilmarnock are due every credit for not just winning matches, but for playing well.
Especially earlier on in the season, they were a treat to watch. They didn't defend. As Tommy says, they get men back behind the ball, and that's great, but when they break, I mean, they've got so many people in their team with pace. They get forward so quickly and score goals, so good on them.
Yeah, solid at the back too.
Yeah, I mean, they don't have the biggest centre-backs in the league, but the two of them are absolutely magnificent. They've done a grand job, and when you've got the likes of Gus MacPherson that wants to come forward and hit 35-yard shots at goals, then you've got every chance of scoring goals.
Yeah, and the reward, of course, that semi-final against Rangers, as we'll see again in just a moment. The story, Derek, Broomfield's a hard place to go and win, isn't it?
Of course it is, and there was no Kenny Black or Alan Lawrence there. Hopefully they'll be fit for them on Tuesday, and they'll give Dundee United a run for their money. I think everyone will fancy Dundee United to go through now, but I'm not so sure. Airdrie will make them fight.
Really? You've got a feeling that Airdrie might be in the semis again?
Yes.
Yeah. Would you go along with that, Tom?
No, this time I think Dundee United will fancy their chances strongly now, Dougie. I think if Airdrie were going to beat them, it would have been a bit Broomfield yesterday. But I think United will be really G'd up for this game, and if they hit a bit of form, then they could really turn them over.
Yeah, because they do have real class players in the side, don't they?
Yeah, very, very clever players, very skillful and very quick as well. It can cause a lot of problems.
Yeah. Would you say that United, who, as we all know, have never won the Cup, have as good a chance as anyone of those who are left?
Well, I think with the players they've got there, Dougie, I mean, they've got the players that could go and win a cup. You know, they've got a lot of flair players in their team, and they're still gelling together. Don't forget, they're just a lot of them getting brought together this season. I think over the next 3-4 years they could be a big force in Scottish football.
Just a quick word, Derek, on the ordering off.
I thought it was a bit harsh, to be perfectly honest. I mean, obviously, if you thought it was a yellow card, then you had to go for the second one. But I think the referees are a wee bit harsher these days, aren't they?
Okay, thanks very much. Yes, 4 consecutive draws between these two, and on yesterday's evidence, another very close one perhaps in the replay, Tom.
Yeah, I think for some reason Dougie, Aberdeen's had quite a poor record against St Johnstone in recent seasons at McDiarmid Park. I think looking at the highlights of yesterday's game, St Johnstone made quite a few chances against them, so they'll be going into the game midweek full of optimism. 2 good goals. Certainly Scott Booth's was a spectacular one, Derek. Second one Billy Dodds will claim. Looked as if he'd scored, but we think maybe not.
Well, Billy Dodds is going to claim it. Of course he is. All strikers do that. We've said that before, Dougie. But if we're going to be technically correct here, I mean, it's a great shot. The ball is not over the line. John Ingles certainly gets the last touch for me before the ball goes over the line. So really, you've got to give it to John Ingles.
So the defender gets it, the attacker doesn't. He'll be delighted about that, Tommy, won't he? Who would you give that? If that was your team, your players, who would you give the goal to?
Well, I met Billy Dodds on holiday, he bought me a pint, Dougie, so Billy Dodds.
I still think technically it has to be John Ingles. What about the Cup semi-final draw then? It's obviously the big one so far is Kilmarnock Rangers. It's the only clear-cut one, so it's going to be at Hampden, one would think, Tom. Are you concerned at all about your players freezing?
No, I don't think so, Dougie. I think a lot of people thought that when we went into the Premier League at the start of the season, it would maybe freeze every other week. People would have us believe that. But we're looking forward to it. It's against the top team, and it's something that they do every year. They get to the semi-finals and finals every year. It's all new to us, to a lot of our players. But we'll go there and we'll thoroughly enjoy it. Absolute big occasion for you. That's the clear-cut match, of course, Kilmarnock against Rangers. One assumes it'll be at Hampden, but that will be decided on Monday, both dates and venues. The other one, Airdrie or Dundee United against St Johnstone or Aberdeen. Well, you can make those semi-finals a real family day out to remember if you enter our Goal of the Cup competition. Courtesy of the sponsors, Tennants, you can be the mascot for your favourite team. The winners, accompanied by their parents and one other guest, will not only lead the team onto the pitch, they'll also receive a goodie bag of club memorabilia. They'll be treated to a VIP lunch before the match, have centre stand seats, and be treated to full-time hospitality as well. Quite a day out. To win, all you have to do is select what you think are the best 3 of these goals.
Goal A, Sean McSkimming of Kilmarnock against Ayr United. This is a typical goal on the counter-attack, with McSkimming side-footing the ball into the net. Goal B is Craig Brewster of Dundee United. This is his first goal against Motherwell, and really this is textbook stuff. The ball to the byline, a near post run, and a tremendous finish. Goal C, and it's that man Brewster again. He starts off the move but doesn't stand still, wants to get himself into the box. Lovely first touch, but what about that for a good finish? Goal D is Wayne Foster of Hearts against Hibs, and it shows you that if you do have genuine pace, then the long ball does count in the games. Here he slots the ball past Jim Leighton. Goal E is Scott Booth for Aberdeen against St Johnstone, and this is great teamwork involving 5 players. Some lovely passing movements, good touches, and eventually when Stephen Wright gets to the byline, looks up, there's Scott Booth run to the near post again, and a fabulous header. Goal F is John Brown of Rangers against Hearts. Just a ball played into a crowded penalty area, and eventually when the ball breaks to him from about 30 yards, has a go and strikes the ball into the net.
Some great goals there. Goal A, Sean McSkimming. Goal B, Craig Brewster. Goal C, also Craig Brewster. Goal D was Wayne Foster. Goal E, Scott Booth. And Goal F, John Brown. Send your choice on a postcard or a sealed-in envelope to Goals Competition, Sports Scene, The Road to Hampden, BBC Television, Queen Margaret Drive, Glasgow G12 8DG. And don't forget to tell us your age, the team you support, and if possible a daytime telephone number. Derek will list his 3 favourite goals, And if your selection agrees with his, then you and your family and friends could be on the way to a champagne day out. So there we are. That's where Tommy Burns leaves us. Thanks to you, Tom, for joining us today. Let's turn our attention, in fact, now to the Air Council. In fact, meet tomorrow. They'll decide on the venues and indeed the dates for the Scottish Cup semi-finals. That draw made yesterday, as you may have seen on Sports Scene, or Afternoon Sports Scene yesterday. So just a final thought then, time from Derek and from me. Thanks for being with us. Goodbye.